and welcome back to the channel. I just got done watching the premiere of The Last of Us Season 2, and wow, I can tell you without a doubt, like, this season is gonna definitely be emotional. It is so much grander on scale than the first one. It is absolutely ridiculous. Like, just the overall, like, just everything that's being shown film wise, I mean, characters, to the infected, I mean, it's just honestly just you could tell that they literally went above and beyond for this one, and that was just episode 1. And like I said, nothing too crazy happens in the first episode, but enough happens that you can feel the tension and the amount of the word keeps coming to emotion. The amount of emotion that is brought into this, it is absolutely insane. Now, if you've played the game, you kind of already know where the story is going to go and how it's going to kind of play out. But the thing that I did like about The Last of Us TV show is that Neil Druckmann, who is an executive producer, by the way, and creator of The Last of Us story at Naughty Dog, he's using the show as a way to expand a bit on the characters and the story, and then change a couple things here and there. And you do see that with the introduction of a couple characters, one notably being the therapist that Joel talks to through the, who he talks to throughout the first episode, because in the game that there isn't a therapist that he speaks to, but the way they tie the therapist to the original game story is a very clever way. So I won't spoil that. I will leave that for you guys to see. And yes, it was definitely, it's watching Joel go to therapy and actually speaking about, or trying to speak about, what's bothering him and the trauma he's suffered. It definitely puts things into an interesting perspective, and I want you to remember that word perspective, because I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video here. Of course, you can't talk about Joel without talking about Ellie. It has been 5 years since the ending of the first season. Ellie would be about 19 now, and you can see that she has definitely changed a bit in her mannerisms, attitude, and just how she holds herself. And of course, we all remember being at 19 and how we're being around with our parents, and you can see the kind of rift and divide that Joel and Ellie are having as of right now, being that she's trying to be her own person and feels like she doesn't need to be protected. On top of Ellie, we are introduced to a few other characters, her best friend Dina, we are introduced to Jesse, and even in the beginning of the episode, we are introduced to Abby, who's going to be basically one of our antagonists for the series. And when you're introduced, you do get to feel what drives these characters, and I feel like that's just gonna expand even more as the show progresses, because again, this is just episode 1, but you do start seeing some of these characters' motivations and how they've, at least for Joel and Ellie, how they've progressed within these last 5 years. Of course, another main character in the show that we get to see is the infected themselves, and we finally got a chance to see the stalkers that were introduced in the Last of Us Part 2 in the show. And man, it was absolutely creepy, and I love how they're diving more into the fear aspect. They did so many fun things in the show that they did for the game, especially in regards to like using surrounding objects to either create noises or distractions. So that was another really cool nod and Easter egg to the source material itself. And when I mentioned that, to remember the word perspective. Now, something that I really like that Neil Druckmann mentioned is that this show basically is about perspective, because at one point everybody is either the hero or the villain, and they're the hero or the villain of their own story based on where they're standing. And that's basically what the second game was all about. The consequences to what Joel's decision did that brought up everything that starts to happen from here on out. And also the consequences of what Abby does and what makes Ellie do what she needs to do from here on out. So this entire season will be a hell of a roller coaster emotionally, and it will be hard to swallow at certain points for all those who have not played the game, so please bear with it. The story itself is worth watching. We were already told that it's been renewed for a season 3, so that tells me, because there isn't a Last of Us Part 3 video game, that not the entirety of the Part 2 game story is not going to be, covered in this whole season. And yeah, I am 100% excited. I cannot wait. I am equal parts terrified and happy, and just, man, we are gonna get some crazy visuals. I just cannot wait. I'm literally at a loss for words. Again, perspective and emotion, that's what this show is going to be a lot really about, and you're gonna feel it. You are definitely gonna feel it, and man, it's gonna be one hell of a ride. With all that being said, guys, obviously I absolutely love this show. I love the story of The Last of Us from both video games, and I am holding my breath for what's about to come. If you've seen the episode, what did you guys think of it? And I mean, did you like it? Are you not ready? Do you know what's gonna happen? Just drop a comment down below and let's have a discussion about it. Can't wait for more, and I'm not going to cover every single episode, but probably when we get to the end, we'll kind of do like a spoiler talk, because it's going to be a lot and we're going to need to talk about it for sure. Thanks again for watching another episode of Movie Madness, and I'll see you on the next one.